Hello, I'm going to do some more ATCs today, or mini collages, however you want to look at them. I've got them sort of prepped so that I won't spend a lot of time looking for things to use on them. And what I've picked out is my photocopied tissue paper background, which is kind of an aqua background with purple flowers and moss green leaves. The reason I chose that is because it looks sort of watery, and I'm going to use these turtles that I fussy cut and cut in half. And then I picked out a bunch of compasses and watches and a bunch of sort of neutral die cuts from the Dollarama die cut pads that I showed the other day, these ones. So these are scattered from a bunch of different books. And then some other little postage stamps that I printed out and shrunk just for this purpose. Picked out some aqua and bright blue and a couple that have Poseidon on them. I was looking to find more of those ones, but there doesn't seem to be very many of those. So I've kind of got a bit of a layout done. It'll vary as I go a little bit probably. But I'm going to start with what am I going to do here? Start with the turtles. I'm going to ink them. I fussy cut them with quite a band of cream around the edge. So I just want to soften that a bit. And then I'll use my glue stick to put them on. And I'm going to put them kind of in the blank spot right along the edge, because I cut them in half. I cut them in half for a couple reasons. Because the background is already so busy, I didn't want to cover up the whole background design. I want that to be part of the collage. So I thought if I did half turtles, not only will my fussy cutting efforts go farther, but I think that's just the way I like things sort of half on the page like that, instead of sort of centered right in the middle of the page. If I had just a plainer background, I might do something more central in the page and then collage around it or under it, but kind of like the way these look offset. So I'm going to get them placed and then work around them from there. And I like the fact that the color of these turtles coordinates pretty well with the colors of the leaves on the background paper. I've been watching a bunch of people doing ATCs on YouTube the last couple of days, just looking for different ideas, but I seem to go back to what I love to do, which is collage, which is fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're supposed to do them in your own art style. Right now, this is my art style. I do have ideas of other ways I want to do them, but it's hard to force myself to move on to a different thing until I'm finished with the thing I'm doing. I want to do some dot painted ones, but that's going to require kind of resetting my whole work table. So when I get out my paints, I'll be on a painting jag for a little while. And that's okay, but I'm not ready yet. to do some turtles because I want to make some turtle themed booklets for the Green Turtle Market. And I wanted to use some of these fussy cut turtles also on my little mini double notebooks. I've got a bunch of them made, like a whole bunch, a couple dozen, and I haven't decorated them yet. So I want to get at those. Might do some of those today while I'm in the turtle mode. I've got a package I want to send out to a turtle lover. So I'd like to get a couple of those made, and maybe one of these will be the ATC that I send that person to. And you'll know who you are if you're watching. You may have even already received it by the time this video goes up. Might be interesting to you to see how I made your gift. So that's all my turtles glued down. And then I've got the different elements that I picked out are this looks like carved wood scroll because it kind of reminds me of waves. That's the reason I picked it. And then, like I said, some circular things. I've got, this looks like a peace sign, but I think it's a nautical instrument. And then this is a compass or something and a little watch. So I wanted a circular element on each one. And then I picked out these scroll details that can go in a corner, an unadorned corner. And that's the main things, and then the postage stamps as well. So here I've got a blank spot in my design here. So I thought I would put this down the side here. I'll ink up the edge that's torn, especially, but I'll ink the rest of them too. These die cuts do have a whitish edge. It's not pure white, so it's not that noticeable, but it's there. And they're a little thicker than normal paper. I'm going to see how they work with just the glue stick. I might have to glue them down with something else. Just want to cover that little bit of plain spot. This one really needed it down here. This whole edge is plain. So quite often now when I'm doing the putting the backing on the cards, if it has a plain edge, I don't worry about it too much because I realize I can put something down the edge, like a piece of lace or something like this. Piece of paper, lace, or real lace. Or just another strip of paper that coordinates even. I do like the way these look once they're inked up. They look a little flat otherwise, I think. They're a little dull, like the paper, the image is a little blurry and the paper is a little dull, so I think inking them helps them look more like they're just old, not that there's something wrong with them. If that makes sense. Now that's just a little long, but once it's dry, I'll trim off the excess. And I'm just going to go around and do all of these while I'm at it. I don't always do my ATCs like this. Sometimes I do one, then move on to the next one. But I think I've been doing them now enough that I can kind of do 6 at a time. I think I'm going to put this up here where it's a little plainer. I don't want to cover up so much of this flower down here. And I think I'm going to take it off the edge and trim it off, because it was leaving a weird little spot there. This one I've got long enough to go down the edge, but I don't really need to go down the edge, so like that's pretty. I don't want to cover up the flower. I'll put it down here. And again, I'll probably just go right off the edge. Ink it anyway. Funny how you get, well, I do anyway, I get something in my brain that I want to work on, and that's all I can think about. until it's done. That's going to go all the way across. It'll probably get trimmed on both sides unless I keep that round edge showing. I think I will. That round edge at the end. And then same thing up here. I don't really need to cover that. Maybe across the top would be good up here. I don't want them all the same either. So I think I'm going to do this sort of on an angle away from that turtle's head, like that, and then cut it off at the end of the scroll. I don't know if you can hear that. My fan's running and it's oscillating. It's not terribly hot today, but it's just so still in here. No air movement. It's kind of humid more than it is hot. So I'd better put the fan on, but now I'm realizing you can probably hear it making noise. I'm going to put that more over in that corner. Just leaving a little bit of that edge showing. That'll be antiqued as well in the end. And one more of these to do. This does actually have a slightly teal colored background, but there's very little of it showing. It's getting covered up by the ink. I was trying to think of ways I can use the little background pages where after I take all of the, actually this might go down here really well. After I take all of the die cuts out, get some small punches and use them for something. I do have some small punches. I'll just show you when I punch stuff out. One that's got some things removed. I must not have used any in that book. I know I did in this book. This one I know I did. So this one I've taken several things out, but you see the background paper is really nice mottled. So I just gotta maybe little tiny circles or hearts or something. I've got to go through my punches and find punches that are small enough. Or I could just cut some little shapes, but punches would make it easy. Okay, so that's those glued on. I'm just going to trim this one off. I may just use my corner rounder on that just to get it exact. Make sure this isn't sticking out. And here again, same thing. I think that one's okay, but I'm just going to put it through there just in case it needs to take off a touch. And same thing up here. Just a tiny little nip off the edge. That's overhanging just a touch. I love these little scissors for this. That one's fine and that one's fine. Okay, so now our little round elements, or our little corner elements is what I was thinking. Because I might layer the round element on top of the corner element. We'll go down in this corner. Maybe I'll, I was thinking if I had a smaller one I would use it, but I don't. Yeah, I won't put it right in the corner. I'll do it like there. I have to have an inking night. Just take a bunch of these die cuts and sort of sort them into categories and do a bunch of inking. I'm covering up that green leaf, but I just want a bit of an arrangement here. And then I think a dark blue, maybe layering two would be working too. Like, so I could do the dark blue stamp and then the light blue kind of overlapping it on top. Maybe look good. The reason I say to have an inking night is, see how my fingernail is already brown? I just took the ink off last night. And after just a few, inking just a few things, it's already brown again. I don't really feel like I want to wear gloves while I ink. I suppose I could just get a thumb protector. There, that's one done. Now this one, the corners also have flowers and stuff in them, so I don't know what I'm gonna do here. Maybe this flower is more complete, so I'll cover up this one. Still get that flower coming out behind it. I hate to cover it up, but I don't want to leave this element off either. Maybe I'll just move it up a bit so you can see the center of the flower. It's going to force me to cover up that green again though. It's only going to bother me. And I am going to place this so that it looks like a peace sign, subliminal messaging. And that's too close in line with the turtle's arm, so I'm going to move it up into that blank spot. And then postage stamps, maybe a little Poseidon one on this. And just down here instead of up here, maybe over here. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Put it over there. Two done. Let's go to this one. And again, I've got the problem, but I can do this. I don't have to cover the flower. I've got a good spot for it up at the top. I always kind of think of these in the bottom, like right in the corner, but it doesn't have to be. That is in a corner, it's just not in the very corner of the card. And then I've got that. I guess one thing that I should mention too is if you don't like those little nubs on there, you can just sand them off. Just takes a quick swipe with a emery board before you ink. They're very small on these, which is nice. They were pretty easy to get out of the book too, if you're wondering. Again, I don't like things lined up like that. Like it was just too close to, well, that's not too bad up here, but it's gonna make it all kind of top heavy. So I think I'm gonna put it down here, just a little lower than his arm. And then I'll put the postage stamps down at the bottom and I'll layer up the two colors again. So I pulled out some light blue and dark blue ones. I don't know if they're visible on the screen. I think they are. So they're so small I can't even see if they're right side up or not. I'm going to put this one here. And I'll put the blue one still deciding where I'll put the blue one. I'm kind of thinking maybe up here, which is not what I really intended. No, I'm going to keep the postage stamps together. I think that one's upside down. Can't even see the picture, it's so small. But I just have the feeling that that's right side up. This one is going to go in the very bottom corner. And all will be right with the world. Get some of this off the side of my glue stick. These do kind of, they're very thin cardstock, but they're heavier than just paper. So they kind of bite into the top edge, especially when it's so soft like it is right now from the humidity, the heat. You might be watching this in October by the time I get it posted. I've got so many videos ahead of it, but it's July when I'm doing this. Oops, I didn't ink yet. I definitely want to ink. It does have north, south, east, west on it, so I want to make sure I got it going the right way. And put it right there. And because that is a nautical instrument, I'll use Poseidon again, and there's also kind of like room for Poseidon on here. Maybe move that up just a bit, since I still can. Covering up the green, but that's all right. Okay, corner. Yeah, no, I think I'll do that down here again. Well, I'm a little sad today because I finished up a series last night on TV, Downton Abbey. It was a good finale and I enjoyed the show, but I'm sorry that it's over. I'm looking for the next season of Outlander to come out to save me. I just love having something interesting to watch when I fussy cut in the evening. I'm going to have those overlapping just a bit. And this one has lots of room, so I think I'm going to use Poseidon again, the bigger version. I did these stamps in 2 sizes. I don't even know where these ones came from. They were a printable. If I could find it, I will link it, but I don't know that I will be able to find it. It was a rabbit hole I went down. He could almost use something else up there with him, so maybe I'll just put another little piece of this stuff. He looks kind of lonely up there, as big as he is. Maybe just overlapped a little bit. I've got my rag here for my gluey fingers, but I forgot to wet it, so I'll figure it all out eventually. And these ones, I guess I can do that, or I could even do that in this case. It's a perfect spot. And then my compass. If anybody knows the name of this instrument, let me know. I'm thinking it might be a sexton, but I'm not sure. If I'm right, please say so in the comments, or if you know what else it's called, let me know. It's the only other nautical tool term that I can think of. I find those nubs show up more so on something that's supposed to be perfectly round. Down here, overlapping that. That worked out better, not covering up my green. And then what about stamps? Maybe stamps up in the corner, just a little blue one. Overlapping that guy. Ooh, we got some nasty thunder out there. Brian said it was going to rain when he left for the day. We might lose power. Wouldn't surprise me. I can still craft though, just can't film. Well, I can. I'm using my iPhone, but I wouldn't want to drain the power by filming in case I need it for phoning. So there's my 6 ATCs. I'm going to ink the edges. And you know what? I'm going to start with vintage photo, but I may switch to ground espresso for these. We'll see. This might be enough. And there's this one woman, I think it's a woman, that continuously posts on one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and she does really dark, grungy, layered journaling cards and stuff, and oh, I just love them. They remind me of the one that I did that was corrugated cardboard and anaglypta wallpaper. There's a video on that if you want to go look it up. But hers are much more dark. Like she wouldn't leave the anaglypta white. She would have it really darkened, really grunged up with ink. I just love her style, and I think I have to do some stuff like that. It's not my usual style, but I think I have to try it to see if I like working in that sort of dark. And I know I like dark and rich, but I don't know, dark and grungy is really my thing. but it's really cool looking. I always like everything that that person posts. That tail looks like it's going to lift up. I'm going to have to give it a little extra glue, I think. Now what I've been doing, I've only listed one set, but I listed a set of these little cards on Etsy yesterday, and I didn't put my Thistledew Creations logo on the back for my YouTube channel because I was selling them as little journaling cards or little collages, artwork kind of thing. So I'm kind of trying to make that decision when I make them. I definitely want to share some of these, so I'm not going to sell them as a set. I want to put my logo on them to send them to my turtle loving friend, cousin actually. So I will probably make them all into my little calling cards. It's amazing to me how fast I'm going through them, but I try to remember to give one to everyone that I see that I know, if I'm talking to them for any length of time, and letting them know about my channel and giving them the card with my handle on the back so that they can remember and check me out later when they get to their computer or when they have time. Because when I first started telling people about my YouTube channel, I just know that they weren't remembering, because my name is, unless they already knew my business name, because I have been using that name for about 30 years. Unless they already knew my business name, it's not really an easy one to remember. Thistledew Creations. It's easy for me. It makes sense to me. I know what it means, but for anyone else that doesn't know that, it would be a hard one to recall out of the blue. So I think having the little card as a reminder has been very beneficial. I don't think they've all gone and subscribed, but you know, probably more have than would have if I just told them the name. And then I found myself jotting it down on Post-it notes and the back of receipts, and you know, that just wasn't working. I want to give them something a little more memorable, to have a sample of my art and say, you know, this is why you want to come check me out, because I'm making stuff like this. That one didn't get the back done. That's what I was checking for. So I think that this has been a great idea, and I love making them. And I can't wait to try a bunch of different styles. So far, I've just done little mini collages. So I want to try some ones with more, well, I did some stamping ones. My tie-dyed ones were all stamps, like rubber stamp ink on the front. A collage of stamps in a way. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed seeing the process on these. And maybe you'll get one in if I run into you on the street. I know that one of you will for sure get one in the mail. So like, comment, share, subscribe, but most of all, have a great day.